When I had my first daughter, we were living in Kitu. I was working in Apapa. I will bathe, clean my daughter, dress her up. You have to know how to do those things. You understand? Putting and removing pampers was not anything to me. I knew how to bathe baby. I had to learn those stuff. Uh-huh. Then I have we breast. There's this breast pump. There's a way you express breast milk in a bottle. You keep it warm. I had to feed, then get myself ready, drive to work, come back. It wasn't very convenient.
Some of those ways that I could, plan to travel and stay out about 2, 3 weeks, I had to start making sure that I cut it, whatever it takes. Every Friday, I must come back, and I must not leave until Monday. And even in night, when she needs some sleep, even though I will be getting up very early to go to work, I still have to help, to tender to the baby. When I go to work and I'm driving, I'll see that I'm losing consciousness and all that. I'll look for a police station or a hotel, just park within the compound, take some 30 minutes snap before I continue.
Fatherhood begins with mindset. Your mindset attached to a sense of deep responsibility for the family. For instance, there are times I wake up praying for my family, praying for my children.
You might be tired after the day's work. Now, you know the woman was busy throughout the day, taking care of the baby, cooking food, preparing the house, and doing a lot of chores. Now you're tired, you're fagged out, you want to sleep. Now, after breastfeeding the baby might sleep a little, and the woman won't sleep. The baby gets up and starts crying. You are tired too, but you don't have a choice. You will get up, carry the baby. Instead of waking your wife, you carry the baby to the parlor. You will learn all lyrics. You will sing and move from one spot to the other until the baby sleeps.
And thank you for tuning in to another episode of Now That You're Here, a Christian podcast located live at Akota Church. Today is a very special edition. It's Father's Day, and we'll be going behind the scenes to look at the sacrifices fathers go through, the ones we see, and especially the ones we don't have the opportunity to see. So today, I have 4 incredible fathers with me. On my far left, I have Mr. Ifeanyi Pechuku, who's been a father for 20 years and is blessed with 4 children. Beside him, I have Mr. John Nkanu, who's been a father for 23 years and is blessed with 2 children. On my right, we have Mr. Oluyemi Fakolojo, who has been a father for 23 years and is blessed with 4 children. On his right is Mr. Olaniron, who's been a father for 8 years and is blessed with 2 children. Thank you, sirs, for being here with me today.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you. So let's jump right into it. What does being a father mean to you personally?
Being a father, to me, is having the responsibility of providing the basic need for a family. For example, beyond finance, which is what people think about, you also have to be there emotionally. You have to provide a moral compass because society fails from the unit of the family. So if a father does not take up his responsibility in the family unit, then it's going to translate negatively, impact negatively in the larger society.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Oluyemi. Does anyone else have something to say on what being a
Yes.
father means?
The father is the head and also the priest of the family. He's also the person to give, the compass for and direction for the family.
Okay. So he says the father is the head of the family. All right. So there's this other question I'd like to ask. What sacrifice have you made for your family that no one sees?
Well, quite a lot. You know, you have to deprive yourself of a lot of luxury, especially in the area of education. You have to close your eyes to a lot of things to make sure they have the quality education You have to ensure they are well fed. You have to ensure that they have the basic things of life: good clothes, good education, the right environment, to ensure that you raise them properly. It's a whole lot of sacrifice. It's a whole lot of sacrifice.
But can you practicalize it? Can you say this is exactly this was what I had to lose for my
Okay.
family to be
Yeah.
in?
For me, I've always told my girls, because I have three beautiful girls before I have my boy. I've always told my girls, you can become whatsoever you choose to be. So, and it comes at a cost. And if I have to go into specific, when they finish from secondary school, they wanted to study medicine. Thank God, presently, two of them are medical doctors. It comes at a cost. That's what I'm trying to say. And it costs a lot if your children are studying abroad. Foreign exchange is involved. That's what I mean by sacrifices. So you have to close your eyes to a lot of things and make sure that they achieve their goal. I insist, while they were growing up, I ensure that they have the right moral foundation. I ensure that, and thank God for a church like Akota, we have a very good Sunday school that can raise children, because I believe that as parents, we can't raise children by ourselves. There are other, you have to ensure that the other support system, like the secondary school, I make sure the secondary school they attend are owned by God-fearing proprietors and proprietors. Because whenever children are not with you, you have to be sure the people that are in custody of your children, and I ensure that while they are growing up, I make sure they go for all the youth programs. Girls Guild, the one in Faith Plaza, I make sure they are part of the program. So I go out of my way. Once they come back from the program, they drop them in church. I still come back and take them. If they need to be dropped in church, I bring them in. I ensure that they learn musical instruments just to make sure they're engaged. Before they went to university, my daughters could play the saxophone, you know, and I just ensure that I'm there for them emotionally, because being a father is not just providing for their financial need. You have to be there with them emotionally. You have to support them spiritually. You have to counsel them um, when necessary. My own case is peculiar because I have girls. So when you are raising girls, there's this subtle fear. Now I can relax because they are doctors, they are mature. But while they are growing up, you have this fear that you don't want them to fall into the wrong hands. If a girl child gets pregnant, it becomes a stigma. It disturbs the education and all that. But if he's a boy child, he goes on with his education. He's not affected in any way. So there's that subtle fear when I was raising my girl. So I had to put in everything at my disposal to ensure that I raise them right.
Thank you, Mr. Oluyemi. Does any other father like to share any sacrifice they had to make that no one saw?
Personally, I think every father makes a lot of sacrifice. Um, like for me, I was working in a company where I leave the house by 4 a.m. You know, and I have to structure my leave so that at least I won't take it once a month, a month at a stretch. Sometimes I take it 3 days, 5 days, 2 days, just to be with the guys. So it's a sacrifice. And that leave is not for you to go traveling or doing any other thing. You basically has to be with them, you know, being there for them, look at their homework when they are growing up, not now that there are some of them are in the university. When they are growing up is the time they need you more. Do the homework, solve the mathematics, tell them it's easy, you know. And in your quiet time, you keep standing in the gap for the children, for the family, because it's the key. You know, like Joshua said in Joshua, I think 24:15, you know, that we should proclaim your family for the Lord. For me and my family, we will serve the Lord. So that is the main basis. And again, when you know that these children go out, meet peer influence, social media, and all that, a lot of garbage in, When they come back, you garbage them out. You know, you discipline them too. Quietly, with love, you discipline them. It's not a fighting matter. It's not a quarrel matter. As they grow, you will become proud of them. Like Doctor just said, I know him too well. He was dropping the children to school and bringing them back every other day because my children attended the same school. He takes them to school, brings them back every day. It's time taking. But good enough is an entrepreneur, so he can do it unlike us, you know. So every father, I believe, does a lot of sacrifice. You will deprive yourself of wares. Okay, can I tell you, the phone I use today, all my three children in the university use more expensive phones than mine. Is it not a sacrifice? So, in fact, they wouldn't know, but to you, you know what you're doing because you want the best for them. So I think generally every father, in one way or the other, does a lot of sacrifice for the children.
Okay, may I quickly chip in something?
Yes, please.
All right, so just like he said, we can't take away, and let me not, he said fathers, but let me use the word responsible fathers. So it's a given that as a responsible father, you must make sacrifices for your children. But the angle I want to come in is the relativity of the sacrifice. Because if care is not taken, it's possible that what you term as a sacrifice might be coming from a dysfunctional background. If you do not have a good outlook of what fatherhood is growing up, you were trained and you saw some patterns and all that, maybe growing up, your definition of fatherhood that your parent painted to you, your father painted to you, was just a provider. You make sacrifice in that regard, but that's not fatherhood. That's why, yes, sacrifice is important, but as fathers, sacrifice goes beyond just financing bills of that. It's cut across so many areas of the lives of the children. Then I also think that fatherhood begins with mindset. Your mindset attached to a sense of deep responsibility for the family. For instance, there are times I wake up praying for my family, praying for my children, because I know that it's not enough for you to give money, to give counsel, to give all this, except the Lord builds a house. Those who are building it, they are just doing it in vain. Families, just one day, by just one accident, everybody vanished, died. One accident. So what happens? All those years of sacrifice in vain. So there are sacrifices, money beyond them providing and all that. Provide spiritual oversight over your family. Pray for them. Trust God to build them for you. There are even times I've seen children that are taken to expensive schools where they pay expensive money, but they don't turn out well. They go into drugs. Of what's the essence of all those? And that's good to say that the spiritual angle of sacrifice cannot be undermined in being a good and responsible father. Thank you.
Okay. So, from our conversation, we've established that men, or rather responsible fathers, sacrifice luxury, they sacrifice their time, and they sacrifice comfort so they can give their children the very best that they can. Now, what's the very first thing that shocked us, the very first challenge you experienced when you became a father? The very first challenge or surprise that you had when you became a father?
For me, I know different people and different peculiarities. When I had my first daughter, College of Medicine, University of Lagos, the University, Lagos University Teaching Hospital. That's where she did her house job. We were living in K2. I was working in a papa. You understand? So I had to go all the way, drop her. It was easy when I drop her, and I move on to work. It's a straight journey. But when we had the baby, it wasn't very convenient. So what we did, we had to get one of their quarters inside Lutz, Lagos University. So we were practically staying there, very small apartment, but we had to manage to stay there. So what I do is I leave her to go to work. You understand? I will thank God that Lutz has a crutch. I will bathe, clean my daughter, dress her up. You have to know how to do those things. You understand? Putting and removing pampers was not anything to me. I knew how to bathe baby. I had to learn those stuff. Uh-huh. Then we breast. There's this breast pump. There's a way you express breast milk in a bottle. You keep it warm. I had to feed, then get myself ready, drive to work, come back. It wasn't very convenient. That's part of the sacrifice. So there's adjustment. The adjustments, some adjustments you are not even prepared for. You understand? But whichever way, it must work. It just must work.
Yes, I think I agree with you because, I was a salesperson, and when I got married, initially I do stay about 3 weeks off my station. And when I married my wife newly, and leaving her at home for almost 2, 3 weeks, it was not very easy. At a point, I had to start carrying her along. When I go to work, I leave her in the hotel, we come back. Then when the child came, it was not easy again carrying her along. I had to stay back, and some of those ways that I could, plan to travel and stay out about 2, 3 weeks, I had to start making sure that I cut it, whatever it takes. Every Friday, I must come back, and I must not leave until Monday. And even in night, when she needs some sleep, even though I will be getting up very early to go to work, I still have to help, to tender to the baby and all that. So sometimes I could, when I go to work and I'm driving, I'll see that I'm losing consciousness and all that. I'll look for a place, a very comfortable place, probably a police station or a hotel. If, like, maybe when I was in Abuja, when we had our Kaduna, when we had our first child, and maybe I was going to Sokoto, I'll look for a police station or a hotel, just park within the compound, take some 30 minutes nap before I continue. So generally, there's going to be a total transformation in your activities and your type of livelihood.
Have you ever had to appear strong when you were breaking down mentally or emotionally and financially? Did you have to appear strong for your family?
Of course, when you get married and children starts coming, responsibility increases. Uh, you might be tired after the day's work. Now, you know the woman was busy throughout the day, taking care of the baby, cooking food, preparing the house, and doing a lot of chores. Now you're tired, you're fagged out, you want to sleep. Now, after breastfeeding the baby might sleep a little, and the woman will try to catch some sleep. The baby gets up and starts crying. You are tired too, but you don't have a choice. You will get up, carry the baby. Instead of waking your wife, you carry the baby to the parlor. Sing, you will learn all lyrics. You will sing and move from one spot to the other until the baby sleeps. Like my first son, Monachi, there's this Christian music that he likes a lot. If you put that music, you can go to market and come back. He will still be focused. So when we discovered it, it was a very big relief. So when it's like that, he will just put the music. He will just be there and throwing leg and hand up. And it's a big relief. Sometimes you that is observing him, you will even lose off and he will almost fall off from your hand. But you will still catch up. So there are times where you're tired and there's nothing you can do. You must stand for the family.
There is a follow-up of what you said. You have to appear strong. Yes, I want to look at it in a situation where there are situations and crisis situations. As the head of the family, you must not show overt weakness. Because once you break down, once you are not in control, every other person is going to lose it. So even when it is not convenient, even when there is a crisis, you must show leadership. You must show responsibility. You must lead, and tell them that no matter whatever that is wrong, that there is a God that is ever present.
Are
Okay,
you
let me
saying
quickly give
that?
a personal example. Something I remember our first, okay, let me not say child, conception. On a day I was in the office and I got a call to start coming that my wife had been rushed to the hospital. So on getting there, we lost the baby. So at that point, all focus was so
Yeah,
what's it
you
going
have
to do?
to be the
Because when
man of
we
the house.
when it has to do with fatherhood, most times we look at father children. But the truth is most times we are even the mother, in a way, we are the fathers. We need to play the role of a father. Strong. But I wasn't happy about it. Left to and I prayed with her. I said so just like don't worry and all. And I was surprised. Sometime last month, she reminded me that when so thing happened, you said so things that kept me going. I had forgotten completely. I showed that yes, I'm the father here. I can't afford to worsen the situation. It's really upgraded. So as a father, there will be shocking moments, but you just have to stand strong so that because all eyes are on you.
Yeah, your
Just like
position gave her strength.
yes, anything if anything goes wrong, just like Jesus says, strike the shepherd and the sheep will scatter. So that's just my take on that.
Okay, I hear you. But are you saying that fathers don't have a right to be vulnerable
Okay,
to their family?
let me come in here. I think this advice should go to young fathers and fathers to be. A lot of times, what comes as a shock is centers around finance. Let me be honest with you. Majority of what causes tension in the home is finance. In spite of all you provide, emotional support, moral support, sometimes, I'm not saying all the time, finance can be a source of tension. I'm talking from my own experience because before you got married, you could do whatever you like. The budget was enough for you. I could just get back from work and decide to drink Gary. I can buy suya. Sometimes I do a lot of part time here and there, so I come back very late. I'll just buy suya, just soak Gary and sleep. No care in the world. But once you are married, you discover that the budget increases. You will still cope. After marriage, everything is still sweet. But once the baby start coming, you start thinking of pampers. You start thinking of yeah, there are three people in the family. So if you don't have a focus or a vision, which is what sustains the family, of course, I had to let my wife know this is my direction. This is where I'm going. This is the plan. That helps the family a lot. The tension is lessened. I tell you, the tension is real when the responsibility are there and there's no finance. But more important thing is to have a vision and a focus. I think it douses the tension when you are able to have a vision and have a direction. And once the family members know that, okay, there's consistency, there's direction, there's effort, it has a way of calming down the nerves. But let me be honest, finance is a major stressor. So I would advise young fathers and fathers to be that you must factor in two people. I'm not saying you have to be rich to get married, but factor in, create a budget in your mind for two people. I mean, that will go a long way to. I'm not saying finance is the only stress point, But that's just a major stress point when it comes
I
to
think
mental
it is
health.
not just a question of factoring in, the budget, because sometimes some circumstances, no matter how well you budget and plan, things can go awry, and your plan does not work out again. But what matters is that you have to have that sense of responsibility. That you are responsible to some people. You just have to have it at the back of your mind that you are responsible to some people, that even in the situation where it is not convenient, because you are taking responsibility of some people, you might have to step back and accommodate them first. You know, you no longer think about yourself as being the most important person. In the scale of preference now, you are down the scale because your wife and your family takes preeminent position. So sometimes you might plan, it might not work out, but have it at the back of your mind as a father that you are responsible to some people. You ask them to come, particularly the children. They were on their own. And you ask them to come. And when you ask somebody to come and eat, you have to make sure that you provide enough for that person and all that.
So, does this mean that a man or a father who is not a provider is not worthy of respect or should not be qualified as a father because he's not providing?
No, even the Bible tells us that a man that is not, responsible is more than an infidel. It is not because you are not providing, but the issue is that are you making sufficient effort to provide? It is the responsibility, the effort that is important. It is not the volume and quantity of money that you provide. It is the effort that you are making. Like, there are some people, I have some instances where I have somebody that's very known to me. When he does some job, he will first go and go, take care of himself very well before he starts the job. Meanwhile, back home, the family has not taken anything. So that is irresponsibility. It's not acting like a father. You think of the people at home first before you start thinking of your own comfort and luxury. Not that you will not take care of yourself, because the man that lays, the goose that lays the golden egg must be alive to lay it.
Let me give you a practical example. My own experience. Sorry, are you coming? I want to be proud because you seem to be asking the question. So I want to maybe use my example to give a broader scenario. It was financially tough for my family initially when we got married because, of course, the budget will expand. Now, baby food and everything came up. House rent will come up. You have to do a lot of things because other lives are involved. But one thing that kept the family together is I always tell my wife my vision. I will tell her, look, this is what I'm capable of earning. I break it down for her. I worked in a place, in a private organization for me, so I break it down for her. See, in figures, facts and figures. Once I start my own business, this is what is going to accrue to me. This is what I'm generating for the business. You understand? I give her the figures. This is how much I'm generating for the business. So that should give you an idea. So this is what we're expecting. So it kind of calms the tension. So in a situation like that, my wife was willing to sacrifice anything,
Your
financially and
example,
everything.
it seems you were transparent, you were
Yes.
honest with her. Do you
Yes.
think that is something that is relevant as a father?
It's very important. Let me tell you why it's very important. If you if there's no transparency, different homes have their different peculiarities. If there's no transparency, then there will be unnecessary expectations. You understand? Because if I tell you this is what I'm trying to do, and if I tell you there's no, I can't make money available for this because this is our goal. Because you have the information, you know where we are going, you know what the end result will be. Like Jesus said, he endured the cross for the joy. I'm trying to remember the scripture. Therefore, the joy, he had to endure the cross. So the family will be happy because they see that, so this is what we are likely to be making. And it went out like, thank God, everything worked out the way we planned. And our story changed because of transparency. So she's willing to sacrifice anything financially, even part of her money. She's willing to say, it's better we do this thing and start earning at this level. You understand what I'm saying?
But from your story, it also says there's a lot of teamwork that went.
Exactly. Exactly. Exactly.
And to add to that, I think the Bible said two cannot work together except they agree. So the agreement is the transparency. Again, as a father, fatherhood, we originated it from God. Even while we were still sinners, God sent His only Son to come and die for us. It is show of love. He didn't want us to perish. That is why a good father who practices fatherhood, according to Ephesians, will tell you, you must love your wife. You must not, even in the course of disciplining your children, you won't do it with rash. You will show love. You show compassion. When you call them to advise them, you don't do it because you've got the power. I remember what my father used to tell me those days. He would tell you that fatherhood is in a family, is in three stages. The first time you get married, you are in charge. At some point in the life of the family, the woman is in charge. And the last point is the children are in charge. So don't abuse that time that you are in charge. Don't do anything because you have the power. You can beat up anybody. You can say whatever. Nothing happens. Things like that. It is only teamwork. And if you carried it from the way God loved us, as the man is the head of the home, you know, to the wife, to the children, if you carried out the way God has shown it to us, which is the principle He wants us to follow. If you follow that, I think um, every family will do well. We'll have a better society today.
Thank you, Mr. Ifai. So, one more question. What kind of support would you like to receive more from your wife and children?
For me, I've gotten my wife is recently I posted her on Facebook. I said my chalugo. People are laughing. I mean, I've had it very great. Honestly, the kind of wife I have is, I don't know, she's just, in fact, sometimes if I want to flex, I remember when we built our first house, completed, roofed the house, you know, it's a long story. So let me just take it from after going through that process of working in an organization. I worked in a clinic for 11 years, started my own small practice, and she saw it grow. From that practice, from paid employment, I was able to roll in six figures within 2 months. You understand? So we're able to get a land and build. We are living in Mina, we had built here. And after roofing the house, I just felt, I need to let's buy a Jeep. Let's even relax. Let's enjoy money small. We don't suffer small. Like, let's enjoy. She said, no. I wanted to buy one Jeep then. I'm talking of 2006. We started building in 2003, finished in 2006. I just said, no. You said no. There's still so much to do in that place. Finishing it to do. If you are married to someone like that just buys into your vision. I mean, maybe on my part, I take my time to sell the vision so that she can see the profit that's coming. So it makes it. I've gotten all the support I need from her. Every support a woman can get from a man can get from a woman, I've gotten from my wife.
That's amazing.
I think for me, my wife and children have been very supportive. And that's because They look at my footsteps. I communicate, but I shout. Oh, they realize that I shout. If you are not, if you are trying to deviate from the set goals, that's why I say that you are not only the priest, that you are also the compass of the family, and that you are the one to guide. You already have a vision of where you want your family to be. Your own is to make sure that they follow that vision. Even though you are going to be gentle about it, you are not going to be autocratic, as Brother Ifeanyi said, because there are phases in life. You need to show love, because the love you give is the love you will receive later. But uh, when you let them understand the reasons, like doctor said, communicate. When you let them understand the reasons why this should be this, and they key into it, life becomes much easier for you. Like I, I try to make them understand that look, you don't need to be showing off, you don't need to be flamboyant, you don't need to overtly announce yourself, and like in Facebook, what you see me post is music, football, and some, Christian issues. You rather do not see me posting personal pictures, this is that, and my children have also keyed into it. For me, I tell them that it is better you appear like a moon rather than announcing yourself like a sun from the beginning. If you're not as hot as a sun, you can be crushed along the way. So you get your family to understand the vision and the reasons why they need to do things. It helps so much in building the family and building the family, footpaths. Like from when my children were even 2 years or thereabout, everybody will pray. Every night we must pray before we go to bed. If you sleep before then, when we want to pray, we'll wake you up. And if it is you are the one that's to pray, it doesn't matter whether you just said our Lord's Prayer only, but pray, you will pray, and you will learn how to pray. It is compulsory.
How has your Christian faith, right? How has it affected your journey as a father?
What can we say? See, it's a very big task because you're like a role model to your wife, to your children. As a Christian, you know that God has set a standard. And as a Christian father, you need to follow that standard. That is why I said it is practically, it's hard, but you strive, like Paul said, saying he keeps striving to do the right thing, do the things in it, even though he finds himself doing the wrong thing at some point. But as a father, you follow those God's precepts, God's principles. You struggle with, like take for instance, the family has a need of something which you cannot afford. You will not only tell them you cannot afford it immediately. You will first and say, okay, I've heard. You go into your closet, pray, do the kabashing that you have to do, do the much you can do, talk to God, interact with your father because he is the one who gave you that authority from the beginning. After interacting with him, now he will give you the inspiration of what to say to the children or to your wife. You understand? So that is practically the best way I think it will be. Because once you follow the principles laid down by God for your family, you know, I think the best will surely come out of it.
And
Thank you,
in
Mr.
addition to that,
Ifeanyi.
let me just quickly add to that. Can I go on?
Yes.
Yeah, talking about how your faith has helped you being a good father, I must say that to a lot of extent, being a father makes you a better Christian because children copy what you do and not what you say. So we are forced to live by example. We're not saying that we're perfect. You understand? Everybody have their own weakness, but because you have people that are looking up to you, you must be a good example. It makes you mature as a father. There are times when, we're in social media age and it's very difficult to control children. Social media. There was a time I had to collect my son's phone. And then I can't stop him from using his phone. I don't have any excuse for stopping him because he's doing well academically. So I don't have any reason. If he wasn't doing well, I could have a reason to hijack his phone, but I couldn't. But what I did is I took his phone and subscribed to some ministries and put notification buttons to ensure that much of what pops up on his phone, I went to his YouTube. I went to his whatever social media page. I just showed me. I started subscribing. You understand for him. And sometimes at home when when I'm watching the YouTube program, when he's back from holiday now, they are back on holiday. So I make sure we sit down together to watch that program. So it challenges you to be a better Christian. So that you can be an example and a role model to your children.
So now, fathers, we want a final word from each of you. What you want other fathers out there to hear from you today.
Okay, like the Bible said, train up a child according to Proverbs 22 verse 6, the way he should go. When he grows up, he will not deviate from it. You have to be practical about it. You have to be emotional about it. It's just like Dr. Fakolo just said, you need to always be there for them. You need to be there. And you won't be like the father that after praying with your child, the landlord knocks on the door. You tell the child to go and tell the landlord that you are not around. And you just finish preaching to the child that lies are not good. It's a sin and it's against God's principle. So you must strive to train up the child the way you want the child to grow up, and you live out whatever you preach. You are their mentor. Thank you.
It is important that you have a family principle, a family philosophy and guide. It's important you have a family principle, philosophy and guide. And it's also good that you review it with your family, let them understand your direction and why they should key into those philosophy, guide, and principles, because that is the only way to have a united family and a focused family.
Yes, my final word is that the Bible says that a good man leaves inheritance for his children and children's children. The inheritance there is not necessarily material. Yes, material inheritance is good, but apart from that, moral values, moral Christian values are very important, because the strength of a society, the moral strength of a society is the moral strength of a family. And who provide leadership for the family? A godly father. So I would advise our fathers to challenge themselves spiritually, morally, and be examples and role models for their children. Thank you.
Okay, so for me, my final word, it kind of corroborates with what Doctor just said. As a father, understand that fathers are methods in the hands of God. Why did I say this? God was about to do something in Sodom and Gomorrah. He says, will I hide this thing from my friend Abraham, knowing that he will command his family? And there are other several examples like that where God needs fathers to take their place in leading their family aright, particularly in a manner that pleases him. When you look at a man called Philip in the Bible, appointed as one of the apostles, Jesus at a point when there was scarcity asked him in particular, he said, Philip, what do you think we should do? seeing that these people had been here with us, and do we leave them hungry? Then later we see in the book of Acts, I think 21 verse 9, that this same man called Philip had 4 daughters. The Bible says these 4 daughters were virgin, and these 4 daughters prophesied. So how God communicated a sense of responsibility to him, and he continued with that sense of responsibility to a point that he was able to transfer it down to his children. So, like Doctor said, it's not enough to just be there. Ensure that you pass down inheritance to your children, so that even when you are not there, they continue to carry on the legacy that brings praise to the name of the Lord. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Liam. So we've had a wonderful time here with these incredible fathers in our midst. And we appreciate you, fathers. We thank you for the sacrifices, the love, and even the things that are not being seen. God sees them all. And we pray that as you continue to lead, may you lead us in love, in joy, and in God's grace. Thank you for being here with us today. God bless you for tuning in to another episode of Now That You're Here.